Hello everybody, welcome back to C9 Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. Today we're going to take a few minutes and look into the C9 crystal ball and talk about what we might be able to expect from the C9 Corvette, what we know so far, and what we might think we know. My friends, my Corvette family, I want to come out and thank you again for all of your support on the channel. We recently just achieved 85,000 subscribers. As you know, if you watch our channel, we are pushing hard to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. And thanks to you guys, we are well on our way. But we still have a little bit more to go in the last couple of months of the year. So if you watch our channel and aren't subscribed, please do. It really helps us and it costs you nothing. And if you know other Corvette people who may not be familiar with the content that we put out, talk us up a little bit, see if we can't get us to that 100,000, because the best Christmas present Lyle could get would be that YouTube plaque. It's something we've been working on for over a decade, and man, that would be the best Christmas present ever. So thank you for your support. Spread the word. We'll talk to you soon. As we are well into the C8 production run with multiple variations, all of which are just improvements upon the other, people are now starting to look to the future saying, well, you know, if they've got a ZR1X with 1,200 plus horsepower and all-wheel drive, what in the world's the C9 going to bring? And then we all start to get a little bit excited. The GM over the last few years has shown 3 or 4 concepts that have been, as they say, not production possible, just kind of design studies and EV powertrain studies. Some of them have been very futuristic, but I don't think that we're going to be seeing the C9 go in the EV direction, at least not full EV. Even GM President Mark Roos says that the push for an EV Corvette has, quote, cooled considerably. I think that has to do with not only feedback from people like us and you, Corvette owners and Corvette enthusiasts, but they're also seeing other companies really struggling with their choice to have gone to EVs when they were predominantly a performance or sports car company. Let's take Porsche, for example. They are suffering as their customer base did not ask for EVs, and because they buy the car for its soul. They want to be able to row through the gears. They want to hear the engine. And the Taycan has really failed. Sales were down like 49% in 24, and they're down even further this year for that particular car. And I think you're going to see Porsche back away from a lot of the EVs, especially in their more sports-oriented products. In the Corvette world, we've got the E-Ray. Now, E-Ray sales thankfully have improved in 2025, ending up being about 12.2% of production, up from about 3.9% back in 23. It's a clear example how just having the letter E in the name made what was at the time the quickest Corvette ever a sales flop because of the perception that it was some sort of hybrid. And now, when cars are done as hybrids purely for performance value, that's not a bad thing. And by making it all-wheel drive, you turn it into a 3-season car rather than a 1 or 2-season car up north. Now, we're going to kind of look into our crystal ball here. I believe that the C9 will most likely still be powered by an internal combustion engine. I believe that unless something really drastic happens, it will still be a V8. It may be a smaller displacement V8, but I think it'll still be a V8. I think that we can expect greater focus on the performance-oriented hybridization for better performance and efficiency. I think you can also expect a more exotic look inside and outside. The question is, do they go even more angular and more aggressive looking, or do they smooth out some of the lines and make it look a little more elegant, a little more flowy than what the design is right now? That's what we don't know yet. Sadly, for many of the Corvette faithful, one of the few things I think I can say with confidence is I don't think we should ever expect to see a manual stick shift with a clutch transmission back in a Corvette, at least not in the foreseeable future. Mainly because developing that transmission would be a one vehicle only transmission. It wouldn't be shared with any other vehicles that are currently made. And I don't think GM's ready to make that kind of investment, especially since they lean so hard into the dual clutch going into the C8 run. I think you'll be able to see in the C9, even the base C9, a lot of the C8 ZR1 styling cues. GM likes to do that. They like to take the some of the more iconic bits of their previous generation and kind of glue them onto the base cars of their new generation to give them value aspect and make people really get excited about them. One of the things I'm most excited about is I really believe we're going to see active aero on these cars. The Mustang GTD, a bunch of the exotics from Europe have the active aero, spoilers that change with braking or high speed, ducts for the cooling and for the brakes that open and close depending on temperatures and speed. Very, very smart way to move air around, under, and over the car. I think we're going to see that really become part of the Corvette lore. I think that's going to be a first for Corvette. Unfortunately, I think we can also expect the price to go up. So in sum, there's going to be some neat things I think we're going to see on the C8 that we probably haven't seen on Corvettes in the past, but I would definitely expect more of an evolution, not a revolution. So think more C5 to C6 in the way this is going to progress, rather than like C7 to C8, where it was complete revolution and everything changed. The big unknown here, however, is how GM is going to solve the many problems that it has as a corporation at this point. You've got the 6.2 liter V8 truck engine failures. You've got the automatic transmission failures that are resulting in class action lawsuits, federal investigation at this point. They could end up costing GM 3, 4, 5 billion with a B, dollars or more. Will GM as we know it even survive that crisis? I don't know. Right now, I'm just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that no matter what happens, the good people in Bowling Green survive and continue to make Corvettes for as long as we all shall live. But, I think that the whole GM crisis that's probably worth a video on its own. I'll do that next week to kind of flesh out what's going on in GM and the problems that they have engineered for themselves. Anyway, tell me what you think you'd like to see on the C9. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to know what options, what kind of power, what kind of drivetrain. I don't care how crazy it is. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and we'll revisit it as we get a little more information. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great weekend.